OHDSI program, where we attempted to learn common data elements used in the program. Right, nothing's moving. There it goes. So the OHDSI program is a large-scale research program in the United States. Is available through a researcher workbench in the OMOP CDM. It includes a combination of both research and electronic health record data. The research data includes both survey questionnaires as well as from a research visit. And then there's 3 tiers of access. So the public tier, which is aggregated data, and then the registered and control tier, which are both patient level data with the registered tier a little bit of redaction in the data elements. So they took, all of us took their unique data elements that they developed in their survey questionnaires. They formalized it in the PPI terminology in Athena. So our objective was to understand and identify any common data elements used in the development of the program, and that's available in the data. So we looked at primarily the research data, though we did look at the electronic health record data as well to see if there's any crossover between the two. We assessed both the data elements and the permissible values, and we assessed where like what terminologies and what data collection initiatives any of the common data elements came from. So to do this, we looked at the register tier from the 3rd quarter of 2021. At that point, the control tier wasn't available, but it has become available since then. As I said before, we looked at both the data elements and the permissible value level. We determined that a CDE was anything that came from a standardized terminology. So any data element that was not part of the PPI terminology, which was developed by all of us itself. And then to consider whether or not the data element was part of the research or the EHR data, we looked at the source. So all of us will tell whether or not it's from a EHR site or from PPI/PM, which is the source code for research data. And so to determine any data elements that were in both, we looked for data elements that were included from both sources, so the research data and the EHR data. So overall, there was just over 1,000 data elements in the research data. This included 164 CDEs, so just under 16%. Most of those were LOINC, over 100, compared to the rest being SNOMED. And then on a permissible value level, most of the permissible values were actually from a standardized terminology. So out of the there's over 900 distinct permissible values, over 4,000 data element and permissible value combinations. And what we saw a lot of was unique data elements, so data elements developed by all of us for all of us, with standardized permissible values. So things such as yes or no were permissible values that are standardized for questions that may have been unique elements. Other things such as permissible values for like personal or family medical history were standardized from unique data elements as well. So this is just a subset of some of the data elements, and you can see under the vocabulary ID whether or not they were CDEs or UDEs. And then on the right, you can see the case report form where the data element came from. In many cases, the CDEs were actually generated from the research visit rather than from the survey questionnaires. So things such as heart rate or body weight, while they were CDEs from research, from the research data, they're from the visit itself and not from the survey questionnaires. More than half of the common data elements actually came from a data collection initiative, so things such as FENX or PROMISE, and there was 15 different initiatives that were included in the research data itself. So that just is one of the subsets of CDEs that we had found. So overall, there was a good amount of crossover between the electronic health records and research data. So there's 64 data elements, and you can see a subset here. And most of the found data elements were either 90% coming from the research data or 90% coming from the EHR data, rather than being sort of in between. And things such as, heart rate or body weight were in both, but were primarily EHR originating, whereas things such as alcohol consumption or cigarette usage primarily came from survey questionnaires, but were included in both. So there was some crossover there. So in conclusion, so there was a limited amount of CDEs, so less than 16%, which leaves open the possibility that in future questionnaires and surveys, potentially using more CDEs in their development. There's also a possibility for semantic mapping. Just sort of manual review showed that there is the potential that some of the unique data elements developed by all of us could actually be CDEs, just requires some semantic mapping or review. We also found the data elements that were crossover in both in the EHR and the research data allowed for potential follow-up. So the increase in usage of data elements in both could lead to further and better follow-up overall. And then these are just some references. So the publication, the reference to there. We also have our result repository, which includes results to this, as well as updated results every time there's a new data release, as well as results from the control tier. We also developed a R package, R for ALU, which has a lot of key R functions that are useful in the All of Us workbench. So, thank you very much.